There we are.
Okay, I think we're back on.
All right, might as well start over. Start introducing the clip again.
We'll just do the clip again. Sorry for the live audience. Whoops. Okay, so one other thing that we should touch on. We do have listener feedback from Patrick. He says he has a funny one for us. ROTP is only accepting women this year, according to a friend that works in recruiting, in order to increase the number of women in the officer corps. I don't discount that. I find it highly unlikely that they're only accepting women into ROTP. I imagine that they've been instructed to increase the number of accepted applicants that happen to present as female in ROTP. No, nothing.
I just don't think anyone's surprised by that. That's probably what they're doing.
ROTP is the Royal Military College. That's the regular officer training plan. Is if you go to the Royal Military College to get your degree and then have a job in the military as an officer when you're done. So I find it very unlikely that they're going to have an entire class of females at RMC, but.
Yeah, I tend to agree, but I can see there being, heavily skewed towards females, or
not really
other benefits if for a female to join. I think
not really falling off my chair here.
Marty, can you do that thing where you tell Tim how to make him not sound like that?
Tim, same thing.
Oh, I thought there was like a magic trick that. Anyway,
menu, system settings, drop your buffering MME.
Yeah, but it should be set.
Well, it's clippy.
Well,
I feel like you're asking me if I see you're writing a letter. Do you want help with that?
Yeah, it depends on the load on the CPU. So as more stuff is taking demand, then you need to drop that down more. You gotta lay out the sync.
Editing this is going to be awesome. Anyway, moving on. Next thing that we have to talk about. Stuff with Regis and Kelly. Or not Regis. Who the fuck is this guy?
I don't know. Yeah, Kelly is actually.
I'll cut it together.
Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah, Ryan and Kelly. I have audio for this. I will try not to break the entire potato this time.
Some tough and tragic news over the weekend coming out of London in the wake of what happened in Manchester. What goes through your mind when you think about keeping Canada safe? Keeping our country safe is the biggest responsibility for any leader. And there's all sorts of different things we need to do, whether it's investing in safety, security, police officers, and investigative national security stuff, or whether it's creating a society in which we're there for each other, we lean on each other, we're resilient enough to handle bad things happening without falling into a bad space. I mean, that balance, defending our security and keeping us Canadian, is what people expect of me, and I'm always going to do both of those things.
I've been going from tourist destination to tourist destination here, and I've never felt safer. So you're doing an outstanding job.
Everybody's giving a lot of hugs. It's so wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for coming.
That's enough of that. That's
Canadians deserve better than that.
Yeah, Canadians deserve better than that. Okay, so remember the last thing that Kelly says, because we're going to get to that in a future story later in the show today. Remember about how safe Kelly feels visiting Canada. Because I'm going to burst her bubble in about half an hour.
Getting lots of hugs.
Kelly's getting lots of hugs.
No, that was a man's voice. Was it?
That was
Trudeau, or was it Ryan Seacrest saying he's getting lots of hugs?
It's entirely possible that it was Regis Philbin, whatever his name was, the guy that was replaced by Ryan Seacrest. Old Ryan Seacrest, if you will.
What?
I don't know.
I think you have that
Yeah.
entirely wrong, but
Well, anyway.
okay. So, all right. So we're gonna lots of stuff to keep us out of a bad space.
To keep us out of a
lots of
bad
hugs.
space, we're gonna
And
really
everyone's
don't know
giving out
what to say to
hugs.
this.
Free hugs at Niagara Falls, guys.
free hugs at Niagara Falls. I don't know what to say to that. Like, we're gonna invest in security stuff to keep us safe. What does that mean?
Like, I know there's lots of places in Niagara Falls that I mean, known for its, let's call it the Sundowner and some of the other gentlemen's establishments in Niagara Falls. That
They give
are
out hugs
very,
too.
Yeah, but I don't think that they're free. I mean, I don't know where he's getting free hugs in the
Well,
falls.
I think the hug is free. It's what comes after that is the
Ooh.
the tug, if you will, is what you have to pay for, but the hug is free.
Whip out our CF-18s and show them how big they are.
Right? That's the appropriate job for that. Anyway.
I'm glad Andrew read it.
Yeah, kind of. I'm not sure what to do with this because I don't know. Like, we're going to invest in security stuff, and Canadians are not going to fall into a bad space. Like, this is wishy-washy nonsense language that doesn't mean anything. There's nothing that he's saying that he's doing to keep us safe. There's nothing that they're going to. This all follows. So to save everyone else the trouble, don't watch the 15 minutes that the Prime Minister is on Regis and Kelly. It's terrible. Don't do it. I did. I cut out the bit you needed to hear. But prior to this, they're talking about his interaction with Trump and cross-border security and joint security with the U.S.
So first thing I want to point out is, do you notice that there's no other nation leaders, especially G20 nation leaders, that are showing up on daytime television? I mean, this is just not.
It's almost like they have countries that need running.
You know, it's just not a respectable thing for a nation leader to be doing. I would say, like, it looks poorly. That being said, this is one of the least embarrassing on a international stage. I watched the entire interview. The whole thing was cringeworthy, and I was incredibly embarrassed to be a Canadian and watching this. Okay.
So he's talking
I haven't seen
throughout
that. I
the
just heard
interview,
this
like,
clip.
oh God, it's 15 minutes and it's terrible. But he's talking about how he's like a jeans and t-shirt kind of guy, but they make him dress up to be the Prime Minister, and the socks are the things that he gets to pick. He's a raving man-child. They make me dress up to be Prime Minister. That's a direct freaking quote from the interview. I cannot stand it.
Oh, God.
He represents us so poorly on the world stage.
Yeah, it's like, no, Mom, I don't want to go. They're gonna keep asking me questions about the ethics committee. I don't want to go.
I don't want to be the Prime Minister today.
Well, he did skip. Was it not last week before? He did skip that entire week, so that he could appear on Regis and whatever Regis and Kelly or.
Well, I mean, it took him all week to pick out what socks he was going to wear.
Yeah,
they had.
I mean, they
maple
had to
leaves
be
on them.
better.
They were red
had to
and
be
they had
better.
maple leaves on them. Okay, so
wait, did he have fancy socks for that interview as well?
Oh yeah, and they talked about his fancy socks during the interview. This is our Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen.
So I saw comments about it, but I assumed that they were just talking about his fancy socks from the UN thing because that was a big deal. I didn't realize that
they
he
had a
also wore
whole
fancy.
There were several minutes of the interview where they talked about his fashion choices, and his whole thing about this is he has to wear a suit because he's the Prime Minister now, but he gets to pick exciting socks. His socks are how he expresses himself.
idiots doing idiot things because they're idiots.
Basically, the other thing that they talked about, they were asking about his family, and of course his father being a prime minister, and then him being a prime minister and him having children. They talked about his children and whether or not he wanted them to grow up to get into politics. And naturally, he had all kinds of BS answers about how no, he doesn't want that, and he doesn't want them to be in the public spotlight. Meanwhile, they appear in basically every photo op that he can get them into. But they were talking specifically about one of his daughters, whether or not he wanted his daughter to grow up to be a politician. And, well, he didn't think it was something that he wanted for his daughter. He thought it was about time that Canada had a female prime minister. And the crowd cheered, and there were relations to be had, and Ryan and Regis and whoever the fuck those people were thought it was a wonderful answer. And I'm sitting here going, what about Kim Campbell? Didn't we do this already? We had a female prime minister.
No, it doesn't count. It doesn't count when they're conservative and they didn't actually get voted in. So that's.
Wait. Did Trudeau get voted in?
Unfortunately.
Yes.
Prime
I
Minister,
feel like this is a trick
parties.
question.
That's
They
true.
elect parties.
That is true.
I guess by that argument, then we didn't really elect. Well, I shouldn't say that. I know we didn't elect Kim Campbell because she wasn't at the party. She ended up being prime minister because she replaced Mulroney.
Mulroney, yeah.
Yeah, Mulroney. Yeah. Yeah, he
Right,
stepped
because
down.
he stopped being prime minister, and
Yeah.
she was like, "Well, shit, I guess I'm prime minister now." And then 4 months later, they had an election.
I'm pretty sure she
Correct.
pointed her fingers at her eyes and was like, I'm the prime minister now.
But she was as elected as
Yeah, it's,
any prime minister. Like,
yeah,
Yeah,
We
she
don't
just
elect
was the next
She's the
head
leader
of the party.
yeah,
she
That's
was
right.
the leader of the party that was elected.
yeah,
That's
by the
what
party.
Prime Minister did.
I thought it was very disheartening to see these people cheering that we've never had or that it was time that we had a
So
female prime
that's-
minister. Like,
So
I
that
realized we didn't have one for very
first
long,
off-
but
Yeah. So first off, it's disheartening that our current prime minister isn't aware that there was a female prime minister, but that this is shot in Canada. This is shot in, so presumably the audience is Canadian, and he makes
well,
this
they were
comment
on our side of the
like-
border wall.
right? And he makes this comment, and the audience is like, "Good idea."
We should totally
But
do
that-
that. But gender is just a construct.
Audience, right? The fact that the audience didn't go, "Wait a second," and question it. The fact that there was an immediate response is disheartening.
To be fair, most of those people that were probably viewing and watching this don't have jobs or were born probably before they have memories of her being the prime minister.
Is that not something that we cover? Like, I seem to remember learning prime ministers at some point in my youth.
Yeah, so
Is
the
that not
people
a
that are
thing that we did?
probably sitting around watching daytime TV don't have much of an education. And I don't want to generalize because that's not everybody. There's a lot of hardworking people that work night shift. But
it's
No,
certainly
that's fair. But
when you get into government in Canada, you should show some interest in past prime ministers.
yeah, especially if you are one and a raging feminist at the same time.
Yes.
well, and you
Proud-
would think
proud
that you
to
would
be a
know that we
feminist.
had exactly. You would think you would know we had exactly one female prime minister in our history, because it's not like, okay, name all the prime ministers in order and which years they were appointed to power in. It's like we've literally had one female PM. It's not like a dismemorable fact.
Yeah, it's I don't even know. Like it's
Yeah, I don't know either. This is
it's crazy. And then so I did see some of the backpedaling on this where he's saying like, well, I just meant that it was like it's
was time
been
for
a
another one. Yeah,
while.
the statement-
It's been a while
This
since
word.
we've had a female one.
Yeah, the statements of backpedaling from the PMO were, they were backpedaling.
Yeah, they don't make any sense in the context of the comment.
No, because it was very clear that he had forgotten that we'd had a female PM before. But
yeah, well, it just seems that like anytime he's given an opportunity to make a statement, he's like he scrambles to go like, how can I make this sound feminist? And then says something. Like he never says anything other than a female something. Like to pander to females. That basically anytime he has an opportunity to make a statement on the international stage, it's a pandering statement to females.
It's a constant signaling. It's a constant, posturing to his voter base.
Right, but what? Okay,
and I guess it works.
In the year and a half now since he's been elected, what has he actually done for females? What has he actually done?
Increase the debt?
Balance the cabinet with equal numbers of ladies.
He also legalized
and done that to push himself politically, which is nothing to actually, push the females. Like the only thing he did was stand on top of that and say, "Look what I did."
Yeah, I don't like this guy. In case that's not abundantly clear.
Okay, so you started to play clips before you killed the stream.
Everything was terrible. So Sean's boy Andy Shearer had some witty bants in the house that I wanted to play that were very directly related to Prime Minister Shiny Pony's recent TV appearance.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister articulated his sophisticated thoughts on the threats of global terrorism. He told Americans that it was super important to invest in investigative national security stuff. He then described the impact of violent acts of terror, saying Canadians are able to respond to, quote, bad things happening without, quote, falling into a bad space. After abandoning the fight against ISIS and cutting our armed forces, can the Prime Minister tell Canadians what kind of stuff he's investing in and how he plans on keeping those positive vibes coming to keep us out of a bad space?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
I'm glad the Leader of the Opposition's new duties haven't kept him from his daytime TV watching. The fact is, Mr. Speaker, we take very, very seriously the importance of both protecting Canadians' rights and defending our safety at the same time. We committed to Canadians in the last election campaign that we would get that balance right, that we would make sure that always we are defending Canadians' rights and protecting our communities at the same time. That's what Canadians expect. That's what we will do.
Order, order. I realize that all members are in a party mood, I hope. But let's make sure to listen to the questions and the answers. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, Mr. Speaker, after a week of avoiding me, that was the only place I could find him.
Okay, so I'll give Sean Boy's Andy Shearer some props for that. The bants were on point. I really wish that he presented that well when he was speaking publicly, but you know what? In the House, spanking Trudeau, I can get behind that.
He's done well in the House so far.
Well, except for that whole whipped vote for the Paris thing. But, whatever. That's
the Paris thing is a thing that we should discuss at some point because, climate change, the science, et cetera, et cetera.
Yay, carbon tax.
So that was, Gavin, that was not a vote for carbon tax at all. And that was a complete setup by the Liberal government. And he avoided it perfectly. We can talk about that vote specific.
Yeah.
That was he handled that
I don't
exactly.
really understand it like fully myself, but like I've
I need to read more about it, but I don't know.
Okay,
I think he did really well on those.
Marty, can you quickly lay out the climate change thing and why the Conservatives voted the way that they did?
Right. So what the Liberals did was they tried to bait the Conservatives into voting against climate change. And what they were trying to do was show that, oh, look at how crazy these Conservatives are, and they're against it. So what they did is they had them reaffirm a vote of the Paris Accord. Now, the Paris Accord is not carbon tax. It's just that Canada is going to reduce its carbon emissions. It is a non-binding. We can adjust exactly what the levels are at any given point. It's one of those things where it's a meaningless piece of paper. Like, it completely means nothing. Canada is not actually committed to anything. We are not required to meet any. There's no repercussions if we don't meet any targets. It's just like a goal. Like, do you guys agree that you're going to try to decrease this as much as you guys want to decrease it?
Well, if I'm correct, like the goal that is set right now is the same goal that Harper set out, isn't it?
Right, and exactly, it was originally agreed to by the Harper government. So they essentially tried to bait them into voting against it, and I went, yeah, sure, we'll agree to it. Like, we're not going to give you this firepower to try and go, oh, look at these crazy social conservatives. Look at these crazy guys that don't believe in climate change, because that's exactly what the Liberals were trying to do. They completely sidestepped it and went, yeah, we agree to it. We're not agreeing to carbon tax. Carbon tax is a terrible idea. It's going to kill our economy. Reaffirm this useless document that means nothing? Well, sure. I agree. It means nothing.
Good summary, Marty. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Marty. I knew you'd have the info on that one. So I guess what you could say is Scheer is 2-0 against Trudeau then.
Yeah.
So it's a little heartening to hear that, because like when it comes down to it, you got Trudeau. Like I'm surprised he was able to pull off that quick little quip about daytime TV. That was pretty quick for the way I think of Justin Trudeau, but like that's the kind of stuff I expect to see Scheer beating Trudeau in little head-to-heads like that in Parliament for the next couple of years.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that Trudeau went with the sort of talking down to people that watch daytime TV, because it's like he made the choice to be on that show and catering to that audience.
It's his voter voice, you know.
Then he talks down to them, but like.
So this is what I want to comment on in terms of just another example of the hypocrisy of the left, is that he thinks he can make this comment as a disparaging comment, like, oh, you had time to watch daytime TV as the leader of the opposition, when he just took a week off of being the prime minister to appear on daytime TV.
Yeah.
Like, it's just such an, the left is such a hypocrisy when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, I don't have to go to my job at all for a week so that I can look cool on TV, and you were wasting time watching TV?
Well, he's got to be well rested. He doesn't want bags under his eyes, you know.
Yeah, but he basically just slammed a lot of his voters, because those are the people that watch that show. But people are stupid with the guesses.
I mean, between that, basically between that and kayaking, what else do you do on that week off, right?
Terrible. All right, let's go to the next one. No, we don't.
All right, let's just talk about that quickly.
Okay.
That's not in the show notes, so I'm just going to bring it up quickly. I just want to point out the fact that all of these random, Trudeau just being an average guy showing up in a cave shirtless and kayaking, and all these just random photo ops that he keeps turning up. Coincidentally, every single time the person he runs into is a Liberal supporter and is a Trudeau fan. And considering, only a third of the country supports him, it's weird how after utterances every single time it's a liberal fan that runs into him randomly. It's almost like it's arranged.
Keep in mind, a lot of conservatives are busy at work.
Yeah, it's just.
But yeah, I agree with you. It reminds me of when Hillary was spotted getting a nice hike in after her failed election.
Yeah.
She was.
Yeah, if the PR person is doing it is brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm sad that Canadians are dumb enough to think these are random occurrences. Like, these are all photo ops. These are all PR things are set up. The person he magically runs into is a shill. Like, it's so obvious, and that people still think, like, look at him just being an average guy.
He's just going out for a little kayak.
An average guy being followed by a full team of photographers and actors to play the people he runs into.
And his security
I wish they had sent him kayaking. Yeah. I wish they had sent him kayaking further down the Niagara River. That rushing water sound, it's just the wind. Just keep going.
Good stuff. All right, let's talk about something else. This has been a subject that we have covered before on Canadian Patriot Podcast. This is near and dear, at least to Gavin and I. It is now legal to challenge someone to a duel in Canada.
And what?
I want to clarify I want to clarify what the Kelowna Now article is saying. It's not that it is legal to challenge someone to a duel. The media at large has seemingly gotten this slightly wrong. It is no longer illegal to challenge someone to a duel. We've discussed
shooting
it before.
Or stabbing someone, and that is still quite illegal.
Right. Assault is still assault.
Oh, just
however,
marijuana.
But
right. So there has been a lot. There's been a lot of articles in the news recently, in the last, call it 5 or 6 days, that it's now legal to challenge someone to a duel. Well, yes, insofar as it is no longer expressly prohibited by law to challenge someone to a duel. As we've discussed before, if you did that, you go to jail.
The challenge is legal, but like acting on the duel itself, I think is the illegal.
Yeah, but here's the
duel
thing,
is still considered assault.
But here's the thing. So there's a lot of people that are getting confused by this, and that, you know, you just go up and challenge someone to a duel and they think it's okay to just stab them. That's not how a duel works. You challenge somebody to a duel because you demand satisfaction. The person then
the challengee gets to choose.
Yeah, the terms.
Yeah.
And then there's an agreement that based upon those terms that certain things may happen. Like, it could be a duel to the death with pistols or swords, or to the, you know, first blood, or it could just be, you know, until someone's hair doesn't look so fabulous anymore. Like, it could be anything. So,
are you saying that our liberal media is not well educated on the topic that they are reporting on?
I would definitely say that. I would also say that the vast majority of the public is not too well informed on the long-standing masculine tradition of dueling and its place in society.
I want to come back to what Gavin is saying, because this is important that we actually talk about the dueling. But the reason that this is in the news is actually, in my opinion, a good thing. This is the result of proposed legislation. It's not law yet. Don't go around challenging people to duel until it actually becomes law and comes into force.
But start training.
Don't accept a duel either.
Don't accept a duel. That is also a jailable offense at this time. But there are criminal code offenses that are being changed that are considered to be no longer relevant, and they're being stricken out of the existing criminal code of Canada, which is a good thing, because reducing the amount of laws on the books is beneficial. Some of those laws include, and these are super weird, so bear with me.
Let's go through each one of these, because I think there's good comments on all of these.
Advertising a reward for the return of stolen property, no questions asked. Possessing, printing, distributing or publishing crime comics.
Yeah, what are crime comics? Anybody know?
Whoa. So does that mean my collection?
I do know what a crime comic is.
Collection of Batman comics is illegal?
No, there's got to be something.
But close.
Yeah. Your copies of Snuff
like,
Man are certainly illegal. Snuff Man.
Around and following the Second World War, there were comic books printed that were targeted to young males, like teenagers, essentially. But instead of being Batman, it was written from the perspective of the criminal is the good guy. So basically Batman.
Okay.
There's a series. So it's
interesting
comic books from the World War II, post-World War II era where...
Why is that
the reason that this law was created was because
movies like that are fine.
Sorry, federal law.
Federal law. The liberals at the time felt that the crime comics were contributing to truancy and some other youth nonsense. Like the comic books were why youth were not going to school and having moral degeneracy on the whole. So the government's solution to the problem was to ban the crime comics because they were casting being a criminal in a positive light, like crime pays.
Kind of like
so
rap.
The solution was to ban the publishing of these comic books.
So
which is
knowing this, like
weird.
I think this would be an awesome collectible to have. Like I really want to try and track some of these down.
I kind of want some now because I think framing it and putting it in my office would be great.
Yeah, but good luck finding a seller because the guy never finished high school, so he doesn't have the internet and shit.
Other things that they're going to repeal out of the criminal code: the publishing of blasphemous libel.
Yes.
I'm not entirely clear on what that means. I understand what blasphemy and libel are. I'm not entirely clear on what blasphemous libel is.
You say untrue things about God?
But are you saying it's now legal or now illegal?
This is legal.
It's
right. It will no longer be expressly prohibited under the criminal code.
Yeah.
That was illegal?
Blasphemous libel, section 296 of the criminal code was illegal, yes.
Yeah, well. So was water skiing at night.
So I'm guessing it's just because our current libel laws already cover this, maybe, or I don't know.
I think it's one of the redundant ones. Yes.
Yeah.
I like this one, section 365, fraudulently pretending to practice witchcraft. So you now are now allowed to, or it is no longer a crime to fraudulently be a witch.
But if you were
but
a
what
real
actually
witch
being
before,
a witch?
Yeah, that's fine.
Well,
that's totally
it's
fine.
not illegal to actually be a witch. It's only illegal to pretend to fraud. So this is another one of those interesting laws. Like, it seems really wonky, but the reason that they have this is to be able to go after psychics for telling people's futures, like reading someone's palm and being like, "Oh, you're going to have this happen to you," because psychics were not defaming people. What's the thing? Extorting people. They were saying, "Oh, well, let me tell you your future. Give me money, and I'll tell you your future." Right. So this was the law that they were using to crack down on that.
Yeah, like Miss Cleo or whatever it was.
Yeah, but wait till the witches' union mobilizes.
Well, no, but that's the thing. Actual witches are not prohibited under the criminal code. Only fraudulent pretend witches. That's right, the pretend.
Well, that's what I mean. Like the real witches, they're going to mobilize their union because now it's going to cut into all these fake witches are going to spring up again.
The real witches will have a problem. Okay, the last and final thing that I saw that they're going to be repealing is the issuing of trading stamps. Not sure what that means.
Like tramp stamps?
No, I like trading stamps. I have no idea. It has something to do with some thing.
Like trading cards, but they're stamps?
Okay, so it's one of those weird old-timey things again where I don't really understand what the point of it is, but a trading stamp is something that you used to get with a product that you would buy. The example that comes to my mind is Gold Bond. What it is and what you did with it, I'm not really sure. I think it, again, old-timey things, I think it might have worked like a store loyalty card. Like if you collected 100 trading card stamps, you could turn them in for a free product.
Oh, yeah.
But don't quote me on that because I'm not super clear on how it works or what they're like the actual process around them.
You're not talking about fillet lists.
No. I have seen these before. You're right. There was like random companies that would like. It's like Canadian Tire money. That's the best like modern equivalent I can say to it. Like when you bought stuff,
Scotty Bucks.
They would just give you, but they were stamps. They were like strips of stamps, and then you could use them to like turn
like
that in for product again.
Like Subway.
Right. So if you bought 10 sandwiches, you get one sandwich free.
Why do you always bring Jared up, Gavin? Come on.
Okay. If we're going
just gonna leave that one there.
I just
there's no way to follow that up.
Yeah, I got
awkward silence.
I did
Tell us.
I did some quick research, and the dueling law. Some people are saying it's just a liberal plot to drive up the price of gloves.
I can see it.
Yeah.
You understand that is not how you need to challenge someone to a duel, right?
I'm pretty sure it's part of the process.
It's not part of the process.
A formal challenge to duel does not require slapping the other gentleman with a glove.
You can throw it, though. Or drop it.
Also not required.
Huh. Hollywood!
Yeah.
I mean, it is the classy thing to do, though, right?
I guess if you're a French nobleman in the 16th century, sure.
Yeah. I mean, you could just throw down the gauntlet, too, right? You know?
That's throwing the glove on the ground. That's literally the thing we just talked about.
No, but a gauntlet would at least be made out of, like, metal or something. It would be cooler.
The gauntlet, you don't want
to... What a gauntlet does not need to be made out of metal.
Sure it does. It's not an assault glove we're throwing on the ground here, Andrew.
It could be a leather gauntlet.
So the one thing I will say about this article...
Okay, so people need to get more informed.
One of the commenters... Yeah, I think one of the commenters makes this point as well on the article, is their spelling of on guard. Is that they went with like the English, like on guard, like you're on your guard.
Yeah, that's not the same thing.
Yeah, as opposed to like not the same thing. To be on guard.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
that's like it was a good try. They had the right sense of it.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe the article actually means on guard, English spelling, like we should be on guard for liberal nonsense changing laws. I really am on board with this.
Part of our anthem, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I like it. We should remove a lot of things from the criminal code. These are stupid laws. We should totally take them off the books.
Yeah, and if somebody agrees to a duel and gets stabbed in the process, that should be fine. Don't agree to a duel. Don't agree to a duel if you don't want to get stabbed. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, really.
Works for me.
I mean, in the article I read, they even went through and like said part of the reason why they're taking off the books is because the number of people that have actually been injured or died from dueling is like nothing. Like 30 people in the last like 150 or more years or something ridiculous like that. So it should just be legal outright. If you want to duel someone, it's fair game.
Worst podcast host ever.
All right. Seeing as he's disappeared somewhere.
All right. I think he went to challenge someone to a duel.
We the podcasters now? Is that how that works?
Did he say podcasters? Like, did I miss that where he said he was just going to take off for a couple minutes?
I don't know. My audio all of a sudden cut out, so I didn't hear anything.
All right.
Okay. No, I didn't see him.
Might as well talk about the next topic of Bill C-52, which is a new firearms registry.
It's an act.
More accurately say, an act to amend the act to end the long gun registry.
Act. I feel like we're missing an act.
Quite possibly. Also, nice of you to show up again.
Yeah, well, I put a note in the chat.
Oh, yeah, okay. We all missed that, and we're like, well, awkward silence? Okay, then.
Whatever, I'll fix it in post. Anyway, let's talk about an act to amend an act to end the act of the Long Gun Registry Act. Otherwise known as Bill C-52. And, oh my god, the Chicken Little's on the internet. The sky is literally on fire. Everything is falling. They're bringing back the Long Gun Registry. We're all going to have to give up our guns. It's all part of the UN 2020 program, and we're going to get put in FEMA camps.
What do you think tap water is? It's a gay bomb, baby.
No? Nobody likes the Alex Jones drops? Okay, that's fine. Did everybody else go for a break, or like...
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
I went to go count my PVC pipe.
Yeah, so I think the internet needs to take a deep breath and calm the fuck down, because this is not a new firearms registry.
So, okay, in defense of the internet, which is an interesting... Hey, practice score. We just got our scores in from OAS. That was an interesting squirrel.
Oh, hey. All right. Everybody wait for a minute. We have to all look up and see how we did. Tim, talk about things for a minute. We have to do something.
Everyone talk amongst yourselves. We'll give you a topic.
You'll need the following item. 6 inch PVC pipe.
I'll explain.
Woo-hoo, middle of the pack.
PVC cement.
I haven't looked yet.
End caps.
All right, so before I'll talk about the C52. So the internet reacted based on the notice. So Goodale had issued essentially a notice that they were going to be introducing a new bill, and the bill was titled "An Act to Amend the Ending of the Long Gun Registry Act." 3 or 4 days before that the verbiage of that bill was visible so for multiple days the entire community was going, the liberals are amending the ending of the long gun registry. And based on the liberal history, I think it's not unfair that the firearms community completely freaked out about that. There was a lot of,
I agree.
The sky's falling down. Ultimately, yesterday we could finally see, what was in this bill, and it's mostly, it's definitely not a return. I went through it. It's what I would say is there's some interesting things we can talk about here. The main things is that the data that is basically any long gun registry data can now be handed over to Quebec. And
all that data that was supposed to have been destroyed?
Right. That's what I said. There's some stuff here we can talk about. So a couple of things that they've done is that retroactively, they have removed the requirement to destroy data, and retroactively they have removed the sections that allowed, because of like Freedom of Information Act, Privacy Acts, things like that, destroying that data. There were certain provisions that were protecting the data from being destroyed. So what the Conservatives did was they created, in this ending of the Firearms Act, they created things saying that essentially that no government official could be charged or could be held accountable for destroying this data under these various acts, and basically removing any requirement to maintain this data and then ordering the data destroyed. Bill C-52 does is it's now removing the exemptions for essentially allowing them to destroy this data without facing charges under these various sort of Freedom of Information Act type of thing, as well as making it possible for them that data to be handed over to Quebec. Now, Gavin, go on, because as you said, this data is supposed to be destroyed, and I want to see how I did an OAS that a couple days ago.
Nice. Okay, yeah. So actually, this is something that I talked about sort of a little bit last night when I recorded with the New Shooter Canada guys. So the long gun registry data was supposed to have been scrapped, and it was, and then they held off on the Quebec data until they kind of decided what was going on there, and then that was supposed to have been scrapped as well. Now it appears that there is a hard drive somewhere that has magically appeared that has all of this data on it that Quebec wants to get their hands on. The problem is that it's not just the Quebec data that is on there, it is data for all of Canada. And I guess they're going after that now to try and get that data, and for some reason Quebec wants to know what guns everybody in Canada owned at the time of this registry going away and everything else. So, I mean, there's some pretty interesting, some complications that can come out of this whole thing and everything else, and, legal implications, and I think set precedent depending on how it all goes that could not be good for us.
But there was, you're right, but there was slightly more to it than that. Like there was,
yeah.
Harper said, destroy the gun registry data. Now, in the making of the gun registry, part of one of the stipulations was that this was data could only be collected for a long gun registry. It couldn't be collected for any other reason or repurposed for any other reason. So when they ended the long gun registry, they basically said destroy the data, because that was the only legal reason we collected this data in the first place. And then I don't recall the person, but there was someone. Was it someone from the RCMP or was it from the Ontario CFO office? Does anyone recall?
RCMP.
No. The RCMP. It wasn't Goodson, was it? I don't know.
Which part are you talking about?
Who was the RCMP person that said there was an internal memo leaked from the RCMP that basically said, I know the Prime Minister told us to destroy this data, but ignore it.
Paulson. I want to say that came from Paulson's office.
Yeah, that was from Paulson's office. So then the Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, back when we had a man who was a man and would stand up, and he said again, he ordered again that the long gun registry data be destroyed. So this is information that was supposed to be destroyed was by 2 parliamentary orders, and it wasn't.
And there apparently was a third-party audit to confirm that this data was destroyed, and they've got dates where it was started on this date and finished on this date, and then same for Quebec as well, because they sort of pulled that information out and held it until it decided whether it was constitutional or not for them to keep their data.
Okay, so that's another problem that Henschel, another RCMP, I think he's the current RCMP commissioner. Henschel got caught in a lie testifying before a parliamentary committee on this because the records for the Canadian Firearms Information System were supposed to have been destroyed, deleted between April the 10th and April the 12th, 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter Henschel.
Yeah, I think he's the current commissioner for the RCMP, isn't he?
I just interned, yes.
Good intern. Problem with that is that the order for the Quebec data didn't come out until after supposed to have been deleted on these April dates. Because then that Yahoo from Quebec, what was that woman's name? Someone from Quebec, whose name I can't find and it escapes me at the moment, filed for the injunction to have the Quebec data held separately pending the filing of the Quebec court case to get a separate registry for that province. So that was a whole other thing because...
So I think the big thing where you're going with this is that... So Henschel told that all of the data was deleted on April 12th. June 23rd, they delivered a hard drive with the registry data to the federal court.
Right, and that's where I have no faith in the RCMP. As if High River wasn't bad enough, as if all of the other things the RCMP has done of late has not given me any confidence in our federal police force. We deleted all the data in April. It's all gone. But 2 months later, oh yeah, we have this hard drive. Here's all the data. Like, fuck off. Get out of the helicopter.
Yeah, because no area at all for interpretation. They broke the law.
It's okay though because they're the police.
They broke 2 parliamentary orders. That was a criminal act, intentional both times.
No, absolutely it was. This isn't. It's so much worse than intentional though, because the RCMP is like, oh yeah, we deleted the non-identifying data in the registry. We didn't delete the whole registry. We just said we did. We actually just deleted the non-identifying data. So the actual firearms registry, in like its tabular form, is 27 fields of data, of which the RCMP felt like deleting 15 of them was sufficient to remove all of the personal identifying details. So the personal stuff is like your name, your address, your PAL number. The things that are not personally identifying are things like make, model, and serial number of the firearm. They still, in my mind, there's no reason to believe the RCMP does not at this time have a complete list of all of the data, as well as their scrubbed list of the non-personal identifying data, which is what I fully expect they're going to turn over to Quebec as a result of C-52.
So hope your house doesn't get flooded.
Oh, absolutely. This is not only have they failed to follow 2 orders from the sitting government, they have been caught blatantly lying about the destruction of records that they're responsible for as the custodian.
Yeah, and they still check everyone in this panel's criminal record every morning to see if they can seize our firearms yet.
Yeah, meanwhile, we're in the top 10th
what repercussions are going to happen?
None. Because it's Canada and no one gives a fuck.
No. 100 Mounties on a bridge, that sure is pretty. Does everyone know what
Well, do they have nice socks?
Has everyone seen that? I don't know. This is
no idea what you're talking about.
This is what I think of when I think of the RCMP. I remember the fact that they were twice ignored parliamentary orders. I'm not going to go through it again. But there was, and all I see in the last couple of days is these people are posting on Facebook this picture where there's this suspension walking bridge in BC somewhere, and there's like 100 Mounties went and posed on it for the 150th.
The Kitsilano suspension bridge, I believe.
Good work, intern. Sure, that one. The kids don't like them bridge. Whatever you said. Yeah, and all I see is this, and I just like if you really start to look at it, it's just like there is a very dark side. Like we've all seen news stories about RCMP abusing power and stuff like that. But this is, I don't know. I think as soon as you become a firearms owner, you very quickly realize that the government looks at you differently than if you're a non-firearms owner. So,
yeah, you make a good point, Tim.
It's very blackpilling.
It is. I mean, the story is kind of like there are two sides to this, though. The Canadian gun nuts and the Canadian firearms owning public needs to take a step and calm down and read the content of the bill, because this is not a new firearms registry, at least not federally. This is paving the way for something that is legitimately frightening, and that's giving the provinces it's individually the power to create their own registry. Right. It's still bullshit. There's still, the RCMP has been caught lying about the registry yet again.
Yeah.
But this isn't the Gestapo coming to take your guns and rape your dog. It's not the end of the world. We just need to have enough people, politicians, that this is not what we expect from our federal police force. They need to enforce the laws the way that they're written, and if they're not going to do it, they need to start replacing the leadership until they get to somebody who knows how to do their fucking job.
And with no pension while you're at it.
Yeah, the problem is, though, like, I've emailed my local MP and Ralph Goodale and a bunch of other people multiple times, and not ever once have I gotten a single response. So they just don't care.
No, they don't. And that's a more systemic issue than this one problem. That seems to be the apathy in Canadian politics is a whole other issue unto itself.
So here's the thing I want to talk about quickly on that topic. You know, firearms owners in general, they're upset that Bernier didn't get the leadership of the Conservative Party. Off the top of my head, I believe there was 140,000 people that voted in the Conservative leadership election. There's 2 million licensed firearms owners in Canada. If we wanted to, we could dictate any of the political parties. There's enough of us to run the government if we wanted to, if we would just get together and do something.
We'd get off our asses.
So, like,
with that, if we voted in, join the Liberals.
You can't get 200,000 Canadian firearms owners to do something in a coordinated fashion. You'd never get 2 million of them to do it.
Yeah, as evidenced by the recent Facebook group that popped up.
Exactly, Gavin, exactly, yeah.
What I'm saying is this, is that, you know what, and I've seen, like, firearms owners complaining about those social conservative that, swayed the election. No, it's our fault for not swaying the election our way.
I agree with you, Marty, but this is, again, this is a systemic problem that goes back to the apathy of the average Canadian, because bottom line, Canadian firearms owners are average Canadians. There's 2 million of them. 10% of the population in this country owns firearms.
Yeah.
It's apathy, and it's disheartening, and it is the biggest black pill there is. But until we can get a percentage of Canadian firearms owners to work together and pull in a single direction, you're right. We could absolutely dominate any political party. If you could get an organization to get a plurality of Canadian firearms owners to go together on a single topic, you could dominate any political party in this country.
We could have all three political parties begging to show how firearm friendly they were if we would coordinate.
Yeah, but the problem is it's like it's people like my father that own guns but like don't know a damn thing, and they're like, well, why do you need that? Because I want it. Like, how is this any different than your semi-auto hunting rifle? Like, instead of a wood stock, it's got a plastic or metal one. Otherwise, it's the same, like it shoots the same round, like, but no, he's like, oh no, that's a dangerous assault rifle. Like,
I'll tell you what it is. It's a, here we go. My drop not work?
I feel like there's a clip working.
You know, and like,
never mind.
You know, like in the trap guys, all they want to do is shoot trap, right? They're part of the problem too. Like, we need to just band together.
But that's something we could talk about.
Hey. Don't throw us trap guys under the bus.
Think about it. Like, what if we were to get, like, how many people would we need to get to be able to pick the next Liberal leader? Like, does Trudeau stay the Liberal leader?
If you could have 100,000 people in a coordinated effort, you could control every political party in this country.
Absolutely.
I believe it's free to join the Liberal Party too. So,
of course it is, and the NDP probably pays you.
Yeah,
it's a communist joke for everybody who didn't get it.
I get it. Googles.
But also, jokes about the day that Canadians will overthrow the government, and this is just how far off we are. You know, we can't even get the group of people that are being actively persecuted by the government and vote.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, eh?
Yeah. And all those people will make fun of liberals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Let's talk about an Aloha snack bar incident that happened at Canadian Tire. I guess they weren't giving out free hugs that day.
Must not have been Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is all kinds of free hugs.
Yep.
So we have
Lundy's Lane from times, as we previously discussed.
Yep. Lundy's Lane, also known as Free Hugs Lane.
Yeah, no. Okay, so our government withheld information from the populace, and I think this was vastly aided by our media. There was a terrorist attack at a Canadian Tire in Toronto. So this is from a Scarborough Canadian Tire where this took place.
I feel like if there was a terrorist attack in Toronto, we all would have heard about it, correct? I mean, that seems like a pretty
would
big
imagine
deal.
that would be the case. I would have expected that there would have been something in the media about this. I mean, there was not.
Center of this country.
I don't know if you're talking, Marty. You cut out terribly.
Oh, sorry. I was saying that, you know, something like this happens in the center of our country. You would think that would become a big deal.
You would think so. So we have
in the nation's capital.
We have someone who went into a Scarborough Canadian Tire and decided to pull out a knife and start shouting Allah Akbar and try and stab Canadian Tire employees. I would think this would make the news, but there seems to have been a coordinated effort by the mainstream media and our government to not cover this at all.
Okay, hang on a second here. Did she say Allah Akbar during the stabbing rampage?
From the few reports I have seen,
Allegedly.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Okay, I didn't see that in this article. That's all that's why I'm asking.
Right, so that wasn't on the CBC, but it was in other Twitter sources that I'm not comfortable calling reputable. She did, however, decide to go into court and start shouting Allah Akbar. Because apparently that's a good way to get on the side of justice.
Yeah, she did, did the opposite.
So during the what was this, the bail hearing?
Like is that
yeah. Once she had counsel, she started shouting Allah Akbar.
Yeah. So on her court appearance, the first thing she does is she comes in. Now, doesn't wait for any of the proceedings, doesn't wait for the judge, doesn't wait for any of the, just comes in to the courtroom and starts yelling to the leaders of the believers, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the leader of the Islamic State. Like, just something about, like, just doesn't wait for anything. Just comes in and like, I love the ISIS. Yelling that out in the courtroom of her own trial, basically.
Like she's speed dating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
like, let's just get this over with right now, guys.
Yeah. If only there was some sort of Canadian values test we could hit people with.
And you know what's interesting in this article is that like the people that are involved in the legal side of this case saying that, like, you know, well, she's entitled to a bail hearing, but she's refused and demands that she be placed in jail. This lady that's like, I'm an ISIS fighter. I stab people in the name of ISIS. They're going, but we want to give you, like, you want bail. We'll let you out on bail, right? Like, it's our legal system that's like, no, you have the right to leave right now. Keep me in jail.
But that's pretty inspirational when you get a lot of kids like around like in their early 20s. They're not even out of bed by like 11, and they live with their parents. And this woman's out stabbing people. She's getting fresh air.
Trying to stab people. She didn't successfully stab anyone.
Yeah. And then she goes to court, and she doesn't waste a lot of taxpayer money. She just goes right for it and says what she's all about. So, a lot to admire here.
She will cut you so bad, you wish she hadn't to cut you so bad.
I don't really have much to follow with this other than there are no free hugs. And somebody explain to me again why we're importing people that are diametrically opposed to our culture and want to kill me.
Because it's the current year.
Remember when you could go to Canadian Tire and, well, hey, Ramadan is almost over, so the Ramadan Bombathon is about to come to an end. Apparently the Ramadan Stabathon is just getting started, though. Do you remember when you could go to Canadian Tire without getting stabbed, though? Like, I remember going to Canadian Tire and not having to worry about getting stabbed. Now this is the thing I have to be aware of.
Yeah.
Now because I can't go to Canadian Tire in Scarborough without getting stabbed by some crazy woman that we've imported who has to go to court, turn down her free bail hearing by using her Arabic translator because she doesn't speak the language or understand the law.
Free bail hearing? What are you, Bernie Sanders?
I allegedly bought a gun from somebody in a Canadian Tire parking lot once. But that gun has since been sold to somebody from Canmore, and they took it out on a canoe trip, and they tipped the boat.
Allegedly.
So also, like, she's supposed to be back in court end of this month, and she's requested to just appear via video link. Like, this woman has no shits for the Canadian legal system whatsoever. Like, okay, it's you back here, and like, I'm not showing up for that. Just fucking videotape it.
Yeah, and puts the check mark beside the halal meal in prison.
Looks to me like you're in the Taliban.
Andrew's so happy he got his clips working.
Yep. Dear Canada, you.
So are we going to go into the steep rise of half-hour hockey stick beatings in the East Coast, or?
Yeah, all right, Tim.
Upswinging face stick men, is that?
No, lay it out, Tim, because this isn't in the show notes, so you'll get to add it.
Yeah, it isn't in the show notes. So I'm going to ask someone.
I know what you're talking about,
perhaps Marty. Marty, what's the city?
Oh, I saw this, but I don't know the city.
New Brunswick?
Get that intern on it quick.
Where?
Googling it. There was there was a Syrian refugee. I think he was 31 years old, and he beat his wife for half an hour with a hockey stick, and then eventually he was arrested by the local constabulary, and he explained to them that he didn't know that was illegal in Canada.
Was he operating under the rule of thumb? Is that his problem?
No. This took place in New Brunswick last week, and the gentleman that we decided to import from Syria, who is diametrically opposed to the way that we live and our Canadian values that we don't have a core cultural identity for, didn't speak English, doesn't understand the law, and thought that it was acceptable to beat his wife with a hockey stick, which, if you're going to beat your wife, is the most Canadian way to do it, rule of thumb or not.
Yeah, that's cultural appropriation, actually. So Muhammad Rafi,
Right.
54 of Fredericton, you knock it off, buddy.
You can't beat your wife with a hockey stick in this country. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Unless it's on the ice during a game, then it's fair game.
You can't slap her with a beaver tail. Again, if only there was some sort of Canadian values test.
Well, okay, so it gets worse than that. So this guy's argument for why he was beating his wife was because she was going to leave him. So he felt he had the right.
That seems like he could have avoided that whole thing to begin with.
I mean, okay. Here's the thing. Like I think wasn't it Germany? There's guys that got away with rape because they didn't know that rape.
That's happened in numerous European countries, including Germany.
There's in Sweden, and there's also instances where they say they didn't understand her because she was saying no in a different language.
Remind me after the show. I have a joke for you guys that's not appropriate for air.
Here's some advice, guys. If you guys have any interest ever of bringing this article up again in the next 5 or so years, screenshot it and save it as a file on your computer. This will get scrubbed, because I remember an article three years ago. Yeah, I remember an article 3 years ago. There was a man who was a recent immigrant, and he called the police because his wife was driving him crazy. And this was in Calgary, Alberta. And his wife was driving him crazy because she kept eating beef. So he was explaining this to the police, and she started her argument up because the police were there, and he got so angry he grabbed her by the throat and started banging her head against the wall. So the police said, well, that's not allowed. So they arrested him. So now you have a woman with 7 children in Calgary, Alberta, who doesn't speak the language. It's this is just another huge success of the immigration policy. And this article now I cannot find it for the life of me. I've tried all sorts of,
I have found references to it on the Rebel media, but I have not actually found the original article. Who was the original author was Dan McPherson, and I can't find the article that Don McPherson wrote.
Yeah, but that is a huge win for a liberal immigration policy, because you have a woman who needs a interpreter, and you have 7 children that need help from the state. The government does not need people or want people to be self-reliant.
And they rescued her from the patriarchy.
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
That's not a thing.
It's. I think it was Andrew that made the comment of and this is, and it's clear, our complaints is this behavior, not what religion somebody is or where they're from. It's people that have this belief system. It's people that
I don't care what God they worship.
Rules of our
Right, that's my problem with it. I don't care about which God they choose to worship or what language they speak or what they choose to do in their own home on their free time. I have a problem with people who are diametrically opposed to the way of living of the country to which they are immigrating.
Yeah,
if
you're
you
a
want to
behaviorist.
move to a country where you can beat your wife, move to a country where that is legal. In Canada, we don't beat women with hockey sticks. Generally, there are exceptions to every rule. but as a general statement, you don't beat your wife with a hockey stick when she threatens to leave you. That's not a Canadian thing to do.
No.
Yeah, you'll make the news.
Burns the roast.
Yeah, you'll make the news if you do that here.
Yeah, and not in a good way.
No.
Tim, do you want to tell us about your giant rubber duck?
Yes, the cursed rubber duck saga continues. I was just looking through a Bruce Gray Simcoe tourism flyer for the Mawanaji Iding Festival Canadiana in Owen Sound. And in the back third of the page, they mentioned that on Friday, July 7th at 5 o'clock, the world's largest rubber swims up the harbor.
That's interesting. I mean, I always thought rubbers were intended to stop things from swimming in the harbor, but
well played.
Way to phrase that.
Well played.
I'm going to need to get Archer drops. Phrasing, are we doing that? All right. We also have listener feedback tonight. It's okay. I'll work on some Archer drops. It's fine.
All right. So
we have listener feedback.
Hang on a second. So July 7th at 5 o'clock, are we going to be live podcasting from Owen Sound?
Obviously.
No, we're going to be eating beer and chicken wings in Guelph, Ontario, because July 7th is the Carbine Operator course, and July 8th is the charity shoot. But don't fuck with my segue, because we're getting to that. It's further down the show notes.
So I'm paying for this yellow canard, and I'm not even going to see her, eh?
Wait, is it going to be there longer than the weekend? How long do you have the giant rubber for?
I don't know.
That depends. Has he been drinking or?
It's the doc with a boner drag weeds.
That is probably the best drop ever for this particular.
I'm really glad that Marty helped me get the audio situation sorted out. It's only taken 82 episodes, but now I can do things like...
Wish you weren't so fucking awkward, bud.
And it's amazing. Anyway, listener feedback.
It doesn't have the huge delay of me doing it.
And it's going to sound way better in post when I do it. Listener feedback from Home Sweet Home. We have a 5-star review. I'm sorry. The review is called Home Sweet Home. 5 stars from Big Skog. Finding like my... I don't know. S-K-O-G. I would pronounce that Skog. Do you have an alternative pronunciation?
No, that sounds right to
me. I don't
me.
know what you're talking about. I heard an echo. I think that's what you're getting pissed off about.
What do you mean? Finding like-minded individuals in this country is like trying to fill your unicorn tag or convince a liberal that they're wrong even when you have the data to back it up. The fact that they still can't manage... Wow. The fact that they can still manage to chuck truth bombs out of the bottoms of whiskey bottles is impressive to say the least. Keep up the good work and watch out for their Monopoly pieces.
So obviously Big Skog did not give us 5-star feedback for our reading of our listener feedbacks.
I have had a significant amount of alcohol at this point in the show. We have run over on time. I want to thank Big Skogs for his feedback, or her feedback, or their feedback, or they feedback, or pick your gender appropriate pronoun as you prefer. But you neglected to do one important thing in the 5-star review. If you leave a suggestion, Gavin will drink things. Right now I'm going with, you wrote whiskey, so maybe whiskey. But if you want to get back to us with something to actually drink as a suggestion, that would be appreciated.
Also, Big Skog, do we know you? Like, we're trying to figure out. I mean, this seems a very appropriate feedback. So we're feeling like there might be. Do you shoot with us, or
have we insulted you in person yet?
Or on the internet?
It's only a matter of time. Yeah.
I'm trying to get to everyone, and so far I'm 300 years ahead. Gavin, do you want to tell everybody about the charity shoot?
No. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'll gladly tell everybody about the charity shoot. We're having a charity shoot July 8th at Guelph Rod and Gun Club in support of Many to One, which is a PTSD support organization for first responders. So cops, fire, military, and EMS, and all those people that are there on your worst day ever, usually, helping you out or doing their best they can. So yeah, come on out. It's $40. Amazing prizes. There will be 4 stages plus a plate rack where you can win some cold hard cash. And the day before, on the 7th, as we already mentioned, there is the Ragnarok Carbine class. There's a couple of pub nights there as well, so you can come out and drink with us, and we can insult you in person if we haven't already, and eat chicken wings, drink beer, and socialize, and hopefully get all gun owners on the same page so that we can finally start controlling the political landscape, if you will.
Okay, I feel like this is a time for outros. Gavin, where can people reach you?
The best place you guys can find me is on the Instagrams at urbex_GTA, and a big shout out to Persec Aware on the Instagrams, who I won a sweet belt from the other day. So looking forward to that arriving. So the Instagrams is not totally useless, Marty. You may win cool shit. You can also find me on Facebook under the podcast or with the Toxic Kodiak Pathfinders.
Andrew, are you still doing random shit or?
Yep. Sorry, just trying to get a carbine course booked for a listener.
All right. Tim, where can people reach you?
You can find me at timsgoodtshirts.ca or at facebook.com/timsgoodtshirts. Get on there and get a happy 150th Canada Taxation is Theft t-shirt in time to wear for July 1st, eh?
Excellent. How's the website going? Is it up yet?
It should be up, but it's kind of buggy, so I'm going to call my host and tell them to get their head out of their ass.
Oh, it's working good for me
and,
tonight at home.
Okay.
Sorry, I've been deeply involved in Tim's Good T-Shirts website launch.
I would like to thank Andrew for all of his help throughout the last week.
No, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to shill for that. I know,
but I should. You've been very helpful. So you've earned some shirts, boy.
And for our listeners out there, spread the name of the podcast around there. If you're on CGN, if you're on, various other Canadian gun forums, throw the podcast out there. We'd appreciate that. Hugs to those that promote the podcast on the internet.
It's true. Maybe
you
even a free mouth hug.
I said you're going to get them free hugs.
Yeah.
There are criteria around that. Anyway, I have to apologize to Rod Giltaka. I'm sorry we just couldn't fit Rod into the show tonight. We'll have to bump him to a future episode. As always, my name is Andrew. You can find me at ragnaroktactical.ca if you want to get your carbine training on. And for all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I want to remind you that you are the true north, strong and free.